We need the offense. We need the defense. We need the special teams, and that's what makes us a team. I told you last week there's a good team lurking here, right? That was a good team you just beat, okay? And we beat them because we stuck together. We stuck together like we always do.
That's Kevin Stefanski post-game in the locker room. He's cussing, Tone. We're dropping F-bombs today.
Now, what'd you think of him saying?
If he's allowed to, I'm allowed to. I'm cussing up a storm here.
What'd you think of him? How many games?
Okay, fine.
How many games did they lost in a row before that win?
Too many.
Was it
8 or 9? I don't
know.
A
whole bunch in a row.
So they always stick together in losses. Yeah. So
well, in the season you can stick. Early in the season you can. Why not?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. He's talking about how they always stick together. It's like, yeah, but you always lose. So it's nice that you stuck together in a win.
No, you don't want to come apart in a lose. That makes it even worse. Or in a loss, that makes it even worse.
But that's the thing. They've definitely come apart. They definitely fell apart at the end of last year, and obviously the first 2 games of the year. But it was a testament to. So much. You saw a lot of, look, we're not going to sugarcoat it. The offense is horrific. They might, if they have the best defense in the league, do they have the worst offense in the league? It's up there.
Got to be.
Right?
They might be dead last in offense.
Oof. And
the week's not over yet, but I don't imagine the Ravens or the Lions are going to be down there with you, so they may very well have the worst offense.
But what a massive bounce back on special teams to do that. Forget about just, it's not only the kick, but to block a kick like they did, the punting game yesterday, I mean, all of that was such a huge factor in that game.
Total offense, well, they're 16th in yards going into yesterday. How the hell are they 16th in yards going into yesterday?
Well, remember, they had
they've been outgaining people.
They had outgained Baltimore.
All right, well, that's it. By the way, they beat the Packers for the first time since 2005.
Oh, wow.
The last time you know who the coach was in 2005? It was at Green Bay. It was Romeo Crennel. Crennel beat him in Green Bay. It's been a long time, my friends. Long time since we beat the Green Bay Packers. Anywho, all right, time to have this conversation. I put it off for an hour. I didn't want to have the conversation. I wanted to have a celebration at the beginning of the show. It's Super Bowl, Super Browns at the beginning of the show. That's the way it should start, damn it. When you have a win like that, it should still be that way. But a lot of you are champing at the bit, so fine, we'll do it. I'll lead it off like this. It is results-based. You're 1-2. No, don't put in Dillon Gabriel yet. I know exactly what I was thinking during that game, and guys, I agreed with all of you. I agreed with all of you that it's time for a change. Not during the game. I figured, you know what? Let's get to the end of this. And then I know it's on the road. You don't want to start rookies on the road, but there's no good time to do it anyway. So you got a week. You don't have like a Thursday mini bye game this year. So you know what? Let's go ahead and let's see the pup next week. Be indoors. Lions are a good team, but you know what? You play a lot of good teams. So it's going to happen one way or the other. Then they won the game. And you could say, well, wait a minute. Joe didn't do anything to help them win guys, I understand that, but I also have to take advantage of the veterans here and take them into account and say, do I, after a win, immediately cause something that what a team that's losing do? Would I pull a move that a team that's losing do and do that? Would I pull him out of there? And the answer is no. And it's results-based because I have to take care of my veterans. And I think that that's the way that those guys are thinking right now. And I felt the bottom was falling out, and I still in some ways do with that offense. Now, if Quinshon Judkins is able to find some footing like he did yesterday, and they can balance it out, and maybe Joe's going to see the field better, maybe he will. These are all maybes. These are all hopes. Because yesterday, some people wanted to blame it on the offensive line with me. I go, I didn't think the offensive line was that bad considering the injuries. I mean, DeJuan Jones, God, I feel, guys know how I feel about DeJuan. I felt terrible about that. That was like the third play of the game for crying out loud. Felt bad about that. He's going over to a position. I thought you and I were going to have a conversation like, hey, is he just the right tackle and we need to move on to a different person at left tackle then? Is that the case? And maybe Jack Conklin, I don't know what to do with the guy, but I can't just put him out there or insist on putting him out there just because I'm paying him. Maybe we were going to have a conversation about that. I don't think he's seeing the field very well. Nathan said it a bunch of times during the broadcast yesterday. I can't help but agree with him. The flea flicker should have been a touchdown. Isaiah Bond is still wide open. I mean, he's just out in the middle of a field with no one around him. It's not good with Joe. It's not very good with Joe. But when you have that veteran, and we heard it from Herm Edwards last week, you make that move, go back. So once you make that move, that's it. And I don't think I'm on the way to make that move just yet. Which I'm going to respect everybody's opinion because I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me with that. Go right on ahead.
Yeah, because
maybe you do. Maybe
they cannot conceive a world in which it could be possibly worse than Flacco. Problem is, I can. I could see it being worse with Dillon Gabriel.
Yes, it can be worse because
I could actually see it be a lot worse.
Well, Joe Flacco's at the end of his career. Dillon Gabriel's just at the beginning, so I could run the risk of spiking a career before it even gets there. It goes to me where I have to wonder, and I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm only at the building twice a week, and I'm not there for very long. I don't know. Maybe Dillon is just not ready yet. I think it probably would be a confidence thing, but it got to a point yesterday watching that game, middle of the third quarter, I think it was, where I go, this is just an abomination, and your defense is going to, because I'm just watching this defense play their ass off. And I'm going, God, what is it going to take to get a turnover? What's it going to take to get anything on offense going? They cannot keep playing defense against these good teams. Green Bay is a Super Bowl team. Their offense was firing on all cylinders the first 2 games of the season. I'm going, you're holding them to 10 points here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a hell of a performance. I go, something's going to have to give. Something did give. You got a turnover, you got a big special teams play, then a turnover, and you were able to put 13 points on the board. And he was able to get the ball down the field a little bit at the end of the football game to go and kick a field goal. But the overall sum of it ain't great. But because they won, yes, it's results-based. I have to think of my veterans. He starts next week against Detroit. It's a week-to-week thing now, but he starts next week against Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have lost the game, I would have said, yeah, I don't think Dillon Gabriel is going to solve many of their problems, but I'd probably start him because you're 0-3. What's the point? But you winning that game changed it. It did change it. I know maybe people think we are being way too results based on that, and it's not about a process.
That's the whole point of it, yeah.
It kind of is in this situation.
Well, 216-474-0092. Do you think, are you keeping Joe Flacco or are you letting Joe Flacco sit and you're putting in Dillon Gabriel? Which one are you doing here? Because I think there's going to be some people going, no, you go with the better player. You go with the guy who's going to help you, who's going to give you a better chance to win against Detroit. And I think a lot of people, even though they haven't seen Dillon Gabriel really play in an NFL game other than garbage time last week against Baltimore, they're probably going to say Dillon Gabriel. I think we're going to get some major pushback on this because I think Kevin will get some major pushback on this, especially if it doesn't go our way in Detroit next week. Well, we'll figure that out when we get to that point. But Kevin's not making the decision to change from him. I don't think I would either because the season is 1-2. And if we're all going to be results based on everything, I've made this argument many times. At some point, you have to answer for what's up on the scoreboard. We talk about process. They argue process all the time. And I go, guys, you have to answer for what's on the scoreboard at some point. You're driving your fans crazy. Okay, well, the scoreboard says 13-10, and the record now says 1-2. And 1-2, whether you think, you're probably thinking big picture going, Kenny, there's no chance. They're not thinking that way.
Oh, yeah, they're thinking
playoffs.
They're
thinking playoffs.
Yeah, of course
they're thinking, how do we do it to get to 2-2 now? Get this thing back to 500 at the end of September and then get moving into the month of October. That's your goal right now. Because as Lima says, there's always a bad team that makes the postseason. And you can get in, depending on how it falls. It might not be that way in the AFC, but you might be able to get in the way that is not probably going to be possible. But you have to talk yourself into it if you're in that building. So yes, it's results-based, which seems to be the silliest thing for it. I got to keep my veterans going because once you make that move, that's about it. And then unless Dillon Gabriel plays well, you've spiked your season. Now it's just about getting pups ready. Then we're talking about trades. We're talking about David Njoku. We're talking about Wyatt Teller, all those things. So no, because of the win, I'm not moving on from Joe Flacco. Even though, boy, it was about late third quarter, I was ready to move on from Joe Flacco there yesterday. I don't know how you would disagree. Did you disagree with that comment?
It was looking bleak. Let's be honest. But I got to give Flacco credit for being able to engineer by any means necessary to get them in position with that throw to David Njoku. That was huge. That was absolutely huge. That was a job-saving throw.
216-474-0092. All right. Are you moving on from Joe or are you keeping Joe? I already got one person said you scored 13 bleeping points. What are you talking about? We're off and running on the YouTube.